I'm not really into quantum physics, which I think this is what this is, but I found it fascinating. She could be talking out of her ass and totally wrong about quantum physics. I wouldn't know. Sounds good to me. I don't know.
Way to go, Olivie.
Exactly.
Welcome to the Novel Universe with your hostesses Ashley and Dawn. We rate and review the newest and most buzzworthy books. We are true book club girls who don't always agree, but do enjoy a good book discussion. I'm Ashley, the fantasy architect.
And I'm Dawn, the criticizer of books.
Grab your favorite beverage and come and enjoy our universe.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Novel Universe with your hostesses, Ashley and Dawn. Today, we are continuing our book talk, is it readable or not trend right now. Is it really a hype book, or is it actually really good? So today, we're talking about The Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. I learned that was her real name, not Olivie or Olivia or whatever we were saying before.
She has another alias. Because she writes YA under a totes different name. And it's not like Victoria Schwab or V.E. Schwab. It's like a totally different name. So
yeah, okay. Well, anyway, everybody was pronouncing it Olivie. And I was like, oh, excuse me, it's fine. So, if you have not ever listened to anything by us before, usually we do 2 separate segments of our podcast where we do a spoiler-free, and then we completely spoil the book, and we'll let you know when that happens. And we encourage you to stick around because we got lots of things that we usually say, and we spill the tea on everything that we read. Mm-hmm. So, without further ado, there we go. So today we're going to talk about, like I said, the Atlas 6. The Atlas 6 is about this Alexandrian society that's like a secret society of magical academics, or the best in the world. It's kind of like this weird, like, Harry Potter world in a way, but for adults.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're witches. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. And so basically the best of the best are selected to help basically be the next bunch to guard this magical society. And each of them has like very unique magical talents. We have 3 of them that can alter the physical realm, and then we have 3 of them that are more like mental, mindful alterers of their universe. And so basically all 6 of these candidates basically get brought in for a year's worth of training underneath the headmaster, Atlas Blakely, and little do they know that their spots are not sealed as they think they are going to be. That's all I'm going to say, because this whole thing like goes into everything, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
So, okay, Dawn, what did you rate this book?
Okay, I have been going back and forth with this book so many times. Like, I will have my own rating, and then I will watch somebody on BookTube, and I'm like, you made a really good point. And then I will change my rating. And then, so at that moment, I was at 4.25, because that's what it says on my Goodreads, it's 4.25. And then, as I was preparing for this podcast, because I read this book back in, like, June or May or something, I had to refresh my memory. And as I'm going back through it again, I was like, I think this book is better than what I thought it was originally. So I'm going to up it to 4.5. Possibly 4.75. I don't know. But we'll see after our discussion. Ashley is making a face. You can't see. I am super curious to hear what you have to say.
Let me preface first. Okay, this is like when Dawn says to me, Ashley, I think you should read this book because I want to know what you think. It usually means Ashley's going to love it and I hate it. Meaning you hate it is usually what happens when you give me that premise.
I would never give you a book that I hate. When have I given you a book that I hated?
That you have mixed feelings. Let me rephrase. That you have mixed feelings. You're not quite sure. So I was like, does this mean it's good? Like... Anyway, so this book I really struggled. I was going to give this book a 3. originally, because I had majorly like slugabus problems with this book. And then when I finally got to the last section of the book, I was like, oh, maybe it's more than what I think it is. Like,
yeah,
in a way. So I'm more probably a 4 to 5.
Whoa.
And it might grow on me. It might grow on me because I just, I just did the thing where I like processed what happened, and it's still kind of happening. So maybe you can help convince me to make it an even higher rating. But I had some issues where I was like, what the hay bales? Like, this is okay.
We need to put all your little sayings on shirts, because what the hay bales, and you just said something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was a new one for me. Okay.
It was a new one.
Honky donkey or something you said.
Anyway, so what did I say?
Honky donkey or something. You said something slow.
Wonky donkey.
Something you said. That's funny.
That's what happens when you've been with children for like 12, 15 years of your life in childcare. You
gotta come up with creative ways to say swears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, let's get into our dislikes. Do you have a lot?
No.
If you like to
well, before we get into it, just for the new people, we are going to do our dislikes first, and then we will go into our likes. It will be spoiler free, which means with this book, we're not going to be saying much because it's a lot of spoilers. And then we will let you know when we go into spoilers. And I only really have a couple of dislikes, and they're not huge.
Okay.
So this is kind of a dislike and possibly a like. I don't know. I do that a lot sometimes. But I feel like the plot of this book doesn't happen until the last 20 pages. I feel like this book does not have a plot. And then you hit the end and you're like, oh, like you said, oh, that's what this book was about. I don't know if that's genius or stupid.
Yeah. My main problem with this book was the agonizing sluggishness of just the pace was so bad. Like the first 40% of this book, I was like, okay, let's do this. Like, what? There's things attacking them? What? And now so-and-so doesn't want to work with that person because they've seen like the dark side of them? Like, I don't understand. I'm all for it. And then it was just this like lull of a time where I was like, okay, is anybody going to do anything? Is anybody happening? I don't know. Are we going to class? Is there class? Do we go to class? Maybe it's just find it on your own. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you get to the last, basically like the last like 2-3 chapters. And I was like, oh, I'm here for it. Like, I was like, yeah. I'm sorry. Like, as I had it like sped up because I read it by listening to it, if you will. And I was like listening to it on a faster pace because I was like, these people, come on, let's find where this hook is. And then all of a sudden I was like, slow it down. There's all this good stuff I read at the end. So.
Yeah. Did you have any dislikes?
That was one of them, was that sluggish thing. I had an issue with the relationships. Okay. And the reason why I had an issue with relationships is because you never really like have this moment where you're seeing, even though we're getting all of those like 6 different perspectives, which I love. I know a lot of people don't like, but if you listen to the book, they have different characters for each of those people. So it's cool. Like you can kind of keep a tone like distinguished to that person, and so that's how you read it. And I really enjoyed that, because if you're going to do it like that, you really need to, like, because some of these characters can kind of start to feel slow and that there's no progression in them in any capacity. But like the truth is that it's there, it's just not said, it's almost implied. is I think that that's how she was trying to write these relationships, is that like they've been in this school for a year, and it's like we'll have like Nico and Reina like together, and they're like conversing, and you're like, well, why are they friends? Like, what? Why are they still like doing this together? But it's like they obviously have a relationship that extends behind the scenes. So there was a lot of that, I guess. But I think I wanted more of it, because what I lacked in plot, I wanted to get in like relationships, if you will. Actually, let me rephrase. What I lacked in world building, I wanted to get in relationships. And it was like I kind of like didn't get one more than the other.
Okay.
And that was my, like, really one of my biggest things, is I was like, okay, either tell me a little bit more about this, or I need more on this. But I wasn't like disappointed though at the end of it. But it's just, it was one of those things that I did struggle with.
Okay.
With it, so.
That was not one of my dislikes, but I see where you're coming from. I thought the writing at times was a little bit, and this is a very common complaint of people, and I agree, the writing at times was a little pretentious. Mm-hmm. There were many times where she really could have just said it in a paragraph and not 3 pages. It's like, okay, homegirl, you know big words, congratulations, but can you tighten it up just a little bit? Just a little bit.
But some people were saying that she could have done it on purpose. Like, it was purposeful be...
Yeah, but...
like, pretentious. But at the same time, it's like... But I feel like she could have done it even better. Like, you could write it even more pretentious with good intentions if she did tighten it up just a little bit, because obviously it was her tone, and it was it was congruent throughout the whole entire book. Like, never once did we falter from this, like, I know better type of talk. But at the same time, I feel that, because I was like, am I happy about what I'm reading? Do I trust this author?
Yeah.
So, let's see. Oh, I wanted, this is just a smaller one. I wanted just a little bit more of the world. Just a little bit. Just a little bit more. It's like urban fantasy with magic, and it's like, I'm all for it. And obviously this author spends a very long time, like, creating said worlds, but I wanted more of how the world interacts with the magic, because I feel like we got a lot more of that at the end, and maybe I'll get more in book 2, but this one I was like, I want just a little bit more. What does the building do? Like, what are they guarding? The library? Like, they're guarding the library? Okay, well, what's in the library? Like, give me more of what's in there. Like, we got like just a small snippet of a description, and it was like, well, the library, I asked for this information and I got nothing, or I did get a book on this, and I'm like, but what about the library?
The library is guarding knowledge, just knowledge in general, and their whole purpose is to make sure that knowledge doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Yeah. You're not.
Is it really? Is it really?
That's the point. Is it really? That's
really?
the point. No, it's not.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
My last dislike was, I understand the importance of Nico and his roommate and his roommate's mom, but it was too much of it, and nothing was really answered. I know that it's going to be prominent in book 2. I get that. That's great. But it was just too much of it in this book, and it was not enough resolution to the bit that was in this book. I mean, at the end, there is something, but I just felt like it was too much of it for me to care. I'm just like, I was like, why is this here? This is taking me out of the story. I would be really engrossed, like, this is great, and then here come Nico and his damn roommate, and I'm like, okay, Gabriel, I don't care about you right now. Can I care about you in book 2? Please.
I know. I agree that whole little bit of whatever you want to call it, because I don't want to give too much away. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, because you would be in there with all the characters, and all of a sudden it's like, this is like this side story. I'm like, what? Why are there mer things? What? Then they trap what?
Yeah.
I don't get it. It didn't flow really well. He would just show up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just Gideon. He just shows up.
Oh, Gideon. I think I said Gabriel. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I had.
That's all I had.
For dislikes. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, let's go into likes.
All right. Okay. So I guess my first thing I liked was the beginning of the book. The first chapter is called The Beginning. And then immediately after that chapter, let me get my book. I feel like that first chapter is incredibly important. Like, don't poo-poo that chapter. And then where it says the moral of the story is this: beware the man who faces you unarmed. If in his eyes you are not the target, then you can be sure you are the weapon. I feel like that is very important to the story. So I liked all of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of
yeah. That's that one part I remember because I like started and I was like, ooh. Like I was there. I was like, so true, so true. I guess I really liked how we meet all of the 6 characters because we meet them almost like Harry. But I don't want to like compare it to Harry Potter because it's definitely like way different. Like it's not the same thing. But like when you're given your owl to come to Hogwarts, like it's different because it's like, oh, you have magic ability and you know about it, or it's hidden or whatever. But here it's like you are sought after, like you are the best of the best, and it's a privilege to be a part of this society. But yet they don't tell you anything else besides that. It's like, just come and have more information. And they're like, why can't you just tell me now? And like, well, you have to accept first. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, and I loved how, like, that's how we met the characters, because we met them in their own just environment, and it helped us learn about them in a very strategic way, because that's where we learn, you know, more about their personalities and stuff like that, and it starts to grow as we continue on throughout the story. But I liked how individualistic it was, and that she took time to write each of them. Yeah. Versus just like we meet 2 of them and then the rest are just there. So
yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I liked pretty much all of the characters. The only character and that's not that I didn't like her, Raina, it's just because she's probably going to be a bigger character in book 2. She's just kind of introduced in this one. But I liked all of the characters, and I liked what Blake did with them, as far as, I actually liked their relationships. I know that was a dislike for you, but I liked their relationships, particularly Nico and Libby. I don't want to say too much, but when I first started reading this book, I was like, oh good lord, here we go with the enemies to lovers bullshit. But it's not that at all. And I like their friendship, and I like that he doesn't like her boyfriend, not because he's jealous, not because he's secretly in love with her, not because he's petty. It's because he's not good enough for her. That's it. They seem to hate each other, but it's like they need each other to be great. It's like when you're a runner, you need someone to be just as fast as you, or faster, to make you go faster. Like, they really need each other to be better, to be best. And I like their relationship. I like Parisa because, did you want to say anything about them? Because I'm probably just going to go through other characters.
No, it's well, I can comment on them. They were my favorite relationship. Like when I was reading, like they were the chapters that I was like, okay, are they gonna have like another spout with each other? Because you're right, it's not an enemies to lovers trope with them. It's completely different. Like they can't survive without the other. It's weird, but they're not related in any capacity. But they are like the other's like perfect challenger and someone who's going to push them and someone who's going to be like, I need to pull you back out because I know that you've reached enough of something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked that because it was like they knew each other's strengths and weaknesses and when enough was enough. And I was like, love it.
Yeah.
Parisa, she's badass. I love her.
I loved her too. And I think that people are going to get caught up in the surface stuff. So like, oh, Parisa only uses her outwardly appearance to get what she wants. Yeah, she does, but there's so much more to her than that. And Callum is the obvious villain, but there's so much more to him than that. So if you haven't read the book, I really want you to not focus on the surface stuff, but to really look at the characters underneath because I feel like when people read this book, two different people are going to read this book. They're going to be someone who's going to get enemies to lovers. Oh, Parisa, she just uses her body to get what she wants. Oh, there's that thing that happened at the end. And then there are the people who are me and you, who are going to like really see the themes and really see the character development and all the foreshadowing and everything that's really going on in this book. So yes, Parisa uses her body to get what she wants, but she does it well, she does it on purpose, and she gets results. She's not dumb.
No, and she's got a hidden backstory that we can talk about in the spoiler part that I was like,
yeah,
what? So I guess in just like the lives in general with the characters, there was not one character I didn't like feel was done well. Like even like the obvious villain, like of the 6, it's like, but you kind of want to know more because he's just that conniving and missing it the same way. But then you're like, is he in love with someone? Like, do you like someone? Like, what? I don't know. Like, but that to me is what that. Yeah, I'm glad that the book has left us as a cliffhanger as it has because it had so many good things going for it. And then don't let the slumps fool you. That's all I have to say.
No.
I've got over the hump and some people did not, and they were like, I hate it. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. And it's like, but you have to keep going.
Yeah, I feel like when people do that, it's that they like a plot driven book, and this is not plot driven. This is totally character driven. So if you have not read this story and you like a lot of things happening on the page, don't read this book. You're not going to like it because nothing really happens on the page. It's all in the character development. It's all in their conversation, which there is a lot of dialogue in this book. And you have to pay attention to everything. You have to pay attention to when someone is dreaming. You have to pay attention to when they are having some weird conversation about wormholes. You have to pay attention to every little thing because you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it if you don't.
Yep.
And I love that.
It's true. It's true. Like I said, I was not sitting at a good rating for this book, but I'm so glad that I kept going because, like, again, there's all this action on the forefront and you're like, oh my goodness. And then there's this big, long, like, interlude pause that has all these little mini steps. You're like, okay, come on. I feel like it's gonna be good. So just keep going. It's almost like I want to compare it to like Gilded Wolves by Rashni Chashki, like with the character development. Like it's not a world plot builded storyline. It is all based on the characters and relationship. And it's like if you can stick with them, you'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything else?
No, not without spoiling anything. I was all for the fact that this was like a dark fantasy for adults.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is what you and I were looking for when we read
Deadly Education. Deadly Education. Yeah, exactly. This did what Deadly Education by Naomi Novik did not do.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So, And this was a book that I hadn't seen around in any capacity, but I was like, oh my goodness, like, why have I not read this? Like, why is this not on my thing? But I love the cover. The cover is so sexy and done very well. Like, it's a very beautiful book. Yeah. Because Atlas 6, like, it's literally just showing you, like, Atlas is the main caretaker of the society in the forefront, and then it's the 6 of them that are holding this society together. So, yeah, but you don't know. Like, where are the other people? Like, where are the other parts of this society? Like, what
that's
happened?
That's it.
Everybody, that's what I want to know, though.
But that's it. Every 10 years, they get a new group of people. They spend a year, and then they have to narrow it down to 5. Those 5 people spend a year, and then after a year, they either stay there and continue research and guarding the library, or they move on to become CEOs until the next group of 6 come 10 years later. That's it.
Right. But it's also like, I feel like there's more, though. Like, I feel like there's going to be more.
I don't think there is.
Like, it seems super big, but
I don't think there is. I think that's it. That's the simplicity of it.
Well, do you have anything else that you want to say?
I just have one more, like, I like what Blake had to say about power and time and knowledge, and how in the wrong hands, knowledge can be bad. You don't see too many science fiction books that knowledge is the main focus. It's usually power or money or something like that. Right. But yeah, she has some interesting things to say about I don't know if I have time, but the opening chapter, she says that societies can thrive on three wheels, or 3, let me see, an empire could sit successfully only upon a chair of 3 legs: subjugation, desperation, and ignorance. Like, she has lots to say about lots of stuff. And I'm not really into quantum physics, which I think this is what this is, but I found it fascinating. She could be talking out of her ass and totally wrong about quantum physics. I wouldn't know. Sounds good to me. Oh, no.
Way to go, Libby.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, guys, thank you for joining us for the non-spoiler portion. We are going to spoil it in 5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the spoiler edition of the Atlas 6. And we're going to just spill the tea on all of these characters first, and then we're going to discuss some theories that Dawn and I have based on our cliffhanger ending. But before we get started, we just wanted to say that our next book that we're going to read is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. So that'll be our next book club talk. Book talk? Book club talk?
Yeah. Book club talk?
Book talk for us. So I guess let's just get into it. Like, yeah.
Well, let's get into that twist. The twist, kind of. Like, I feel like the whole Ezra thing was not quite a twist, because he showed up midway when he was talking to Tristan, so we knew something was up with him. But the whole thing with Atlas, I was like, oh, okay, didn't see that coming.
Okay, so I just want to say, well, I guess we could just kind of go into a little bit of it, because this is where one of my things comes through. Do you want to do that?
Sure. Just chat. We're just chatting.
Okay, I seriously think that Dalton is a form of Ezra, in a way.
Okay.
Because Dalton did say that he did it, that he was the one that sent her away, Libby. Okay, so Libby gets shipped off into this, like, paranormal cage thing that she can't break out of because she's too in and of herself. Like, she focuses too much on her emotions, and if she would just calm them, like, she could destroy the world, type of thing. And everybody knows this. But he says that to Parisa, and Parisa's like, oh my goodness, like, I, will figure it out. And she talks about how Dalton's brain is like a labyrinth that she can't crack. And she's someone who's telepathic. Like, she can read people's minds and stuff like that. And she can't even get in because he's so good at blocking everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Ezra, like, that's another person. Like, and he's altered his whole entire existence. This is very far stretched.
Yeah, it is.
But when Ezra showed up, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Dalton though. Like, but it's what Dalton, so Dalton is what I think Atlas had hoped for with Ezra. Like, someone to almost do his dirty work in a way.
I have a totally different theory. Totally different than yours.
Okay, let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Okay.
Because I was like, is it Ezra?
No. I think Ezra and Dalton are two different people. However, when Ezra needed to find a way to get Libby out of there, he went to Gideon's mom, the mermaid, and she said, I know an animator. His name is Prince. I think that Dalton is Prince. Because there's not very many animators. So that's where I think Dalton came in. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Cool. All right. All
okay.
Right. That makes sense.
Okay. So as far as Dalton and Atlas are concerned, I think so Dalton was supposed to be the one getting murdered in his year. But Atlas saved him because Dalton can access something in the library that nobody else can. If you remember, Libby kept trying to get longevity and it would not come to her. Ezra can live for a very long time. He doesn't age. And I think that Atlas, who ultimately Atlas wants to burn down the world and start anew, Atlas is aging. And he needs to figure out how he can stop the aging process so that he can do his plan and or outlive it or whatever. So he's looking for a way to live long, and he's trying to get access to the longevity book, but the library won't give it to him. So I think he's going into Dalton's head to try and find what Dalton knows. Kind of like Harry Potter with Snape and Slughorn and Tom Riddle and all that stuff. He's trying to get Harry to figure out what Slughorn told Tom Riddle to how to live forever. I think it's kind of like that. But like you said, Dalton is blocking, and then Atlas accidentally saw Parisa in there, and he kicked her out. I think he's trying to figure out longevity because Dalton can access that book, but he can't. So that's why he kept Dalton alive. Also, at the very end, some woman named Vivienne, who also could live a long life, was murdered. She was hit by a car. I think Atlas killed her because he's trying to study how to live longer. I think he's trying to... And I also think that when him and Ezra were both in school, he kept Ezra alive on purpose because Ezra was useful to him. Like that saying, if they're not pointing if you're not the target, you're the weapon. I think Ezra's the weapon, and he's figured that out. So those were my theories.
Right. Yeah, okay, so I agree with the last part. I missed the part that the girl that just died, that was probably her strength. I missed that part.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, because here's the thing though, like Dalton can bring things back to life at an extent, to an extent. Like if it's like dead, like he can't alter it to be reanimated. And he even said that to Parisa when she was, snaking through his brain and all of that. And I was like, okay. but there's a limit to it, type of thing. But I bet you that's why he's keeping them alive then, because
yeah,
I think Ezra figured him out. Ezra figured Atlas out because he kept saying, like, we've saved a spot for you, like, I've saved a spot for you in the 6, and yada yada yada. It's like, but why is he not there? Why is he still not a part of the society? Like, you know, and yet he's keeping Libby safe because he does, I think, ultimately love Libby. Like, I really do. I think that he does ultimately care about her, and that's why he put her where he did and all this other stuff. But then that last little part where he's, like, meeting with all of the other important people that do indeed have magic, but that just didn't make the cut. And he's like, we need to stop him because he is trying to basically destroy the world. I was like, genius.
Yeah.
So now you're no longer in cahoots with each other. Now you're biding your time against him, because he talks about, like, how many times he watched his mom die. And I was like, how horrific is that? And of course, like, when someone experiences, like, such a crazy thing in their life, it's going to alter them, and they're not going to just, like, chase after dreams, I guess, like Atlas is chasing after. He's like, no, like, it like, death is final. Like, you can't change it no matter what. So that's probably why he's being kept around by Atlas, because maybe Atlas is like, maybe he can, like, push me in another realm and a door and save me from my fate, type of thing, because Ezra's been completely written off the universe. Like, he's dead. Like, he did in fact die in the trial, but he went somewhere else, so it was replaced with another body. Like, I don't understand that part. Do you think, like, he grabbed another body, or did they just say because he disappeared in the middle of the trial that he's no longer there?
I don't remember.
Maybe it's because
I don't remember.
Like, I don't remember if there was, like, no body, no daddy type of thing, or if it was because he did indeed, like, step through into a parallel time that there was no one to kill, so he was just gone. So he was just written off, like Libby has just now been written off as dead.
I feel like there was a body.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't
know whose body it was, but I feel like there was one. And also, or okay, so they were saying the whole point of the 6, somebody has to die, because magic, there's a balance to magic, so somebody has to die in order for the magic to continue. But if Ezra never really died, then that whole point is moot. So they must have to kill someone, even if Ezra fake died. So Libby didn't really die. So maybe that he killed Vivienne to keep the balance, because Libby didn't die. You know what I mean? But maybe. I don't know who died when Ezra didn't, because I don't remember.
That's what I'm like. Was it another candidate that they...
I just think it was
Atlas
a random.
Take care of it and he just find someone else.
I think
it does have to be in the balance. Like, it's not an abnormal thing that they're asking them this time around, because even Dalton was aware of it when he was in the society, and he's like, no, like, someone does indeed have to die. Like, it's just a magical balance. And then they talked about the whole, like, now that you've had all this knowledge, like, you can't not crave the knowledge and the power that comes with it, and it now, like, starts to consume you. Love that. All there for it. Yeah. So, okay. All right, do you have any other theories? I want to know who Carice's husband is that she's running away from. That's all I have to say.
I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah, so, like, back into the book, like, she basically convinces Callum to, like, they go on, like, a mind war.
Yeah, I got that. I just didn't understand her backstory. Her backstory was confusing to me. Like, was she sexually assaulted? Did she have to marry her brother? Like, I was so confused. So confused.
Right. And it's like, okay, but yet I still think that Carissa won in that battle, though. Because there's a difference between, like walking into a challenge and not knowing how the challenge is going to end and like being defeated like you're obviously better than me. But Parisa knew, and she let him win in order to show, I think, to make Callum like feel all good about himself. I still think she's like way more powerful than he is.
I think
like his is just
she's
like
definitely
he's dangerous in another way.
He's very powerful, but I feel like his power is one dimensional. Like there was a point when it was time for him to die, and he's telling Tristan all this information about everybody. It's because he found it in a book. He didn't really get into other people's minds like Parisa can do.
No.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he can control minds, which is pretty terrifying in the wrong hands. And I liked that how Olivie Blake says he's basically uninterested. He's not really thinking about actually doing that, because someone who has that power in the wrong hands, they could wreak havoc. But he's just bored. He's just like, whatever. He doesn't really care about world domination. You know what I mean? So he calls himself an assassin.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, he calls himself an assassin. He's not a villain. A villain would want world domination and use his power to get world domination. He's not the hero. He's just a dutiful soldier. He don't care.
And I think you're right. I think ultimately he's bored, but I think he also knows his like how to attain information to be as powerful as he is. So he's smart. Like he's not just an empath that can alter your mind to make you literally kill yourself or, you know, go and do all of these other things and whatever. But the fact that he had to attain the information just tells me like we're smart. Like
yeah, he's smart, but he's also go ahead.
No, he's smart, but he's also not your next best friend choice, right? Like you're not going to get close to him. So he's almost like a lone wolf in a way.
Yeah. I was going to say he's smart, but he's a narcissist. And if you've ever had to deal with a narcissist, their demise is themselves. They do it to themselves because they think they are smarter than everyone. And somebody on the outside can figure them out. So because Parisa can see into his head, she can figure out his weaknesses. And she can get him with it, which she ultimately did. And Atlas did the same thing when he recruited him. He basically was like, yeah, but you have no imagination. And it basically was like, oh, I'm going to show you I'm better than everybody here. He's a narcissist. That's his ultimate demise.
Yep. Well, see, and even with his relationship with Tristan, like, I still think that he has, like, a thing for Tristan.
Oh, he totally does. He totally does. But he doesn't know how to form real relationships, and he fucked it up.
Yeah, because it's like, even when the whole killing was about to ensue, like, Tristan was like, oh, we just ruined this whole relationship. But yeah, Callan's like, it's fine. Like, we'll be fine. I'm like, I don't like you, but I'm okay with it. Like, but he doesn't say it. they just move on. Like, Libby's missing, like, or she's dead or whatever, and they all just, like, just move on.
Yeah. Their relationship was bizarre.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre.
Yep, and their whole, like, Libby's whole, like, threesome with Parisa and Tristan, I was like, is this just because we're bored?
No, I think it was her growth. It was just her growing up. That's all. I think that's all that meant.
Right. No, but I, like, at first I was like, what is happening? Like, oh, what? But then I'm like, this was all consensual. Everybody wanted this. It's fine.
But this is what
I think
go ahead.
Yeah, but it's also, like, weird because, like, when I talked about the relationships, it's weird because, like, it didn't mean anything. It was, like, it didn't mean anything to some of them. And then some of them was, like, should I care about it? I don't know. But I have other things to do. So.
No, I think.
Yeah.
So this is what I was saying in the spoiler-free edition about where people are going to get hung up on this book, and I think people are going to get hung up on that three-way, and they shouldn't, because um either because it was off page or because, oh my god, why would she do that, it's out of character. I think she did it because, she just broke up with her boyfriend. She's always in her head. She's incredibly insecure. She saw an opportunity to just let loose and just be somebody different for once, and that's why she did it. And for as far as Parisa is concerned, I don't think it really meant too much to her. Parisa has an agenda, and she's just trying to get into everybody's head because she's trying to bring the world down too. She is exactly like Atlas. They have the exact same agenda. But Libby is not important to her right now. Dalton is what's important to her. He's a means to her end. Everybody else can go screw themselves. She don't care about anybody else.
Right. No, that's why she keeps that relationship with him strong. It's all for her own agenda, which I love.
Yeah, I love that.
But she's also like, honey, us women, we have needs too. You need to do what you gotta do to satisfy yourself. And I was like, okay, girl, like, I see you. You're playing them, but you're also like, that's what you need. It'd be fine. And then she just leaves. So I love that. I also liked how the plants, like, spoke to Raina. Because she's, like, Miss Little, like, observer in the background. Like, you don't think too much of her, but she's highly powerful. Like, at the same time. Like, she's super powerful, but she's like, nah, I ain't got time for you. Like, but I love that about her, though, because it's so unique. It's so unique. And she knows her strength. She knows how to get it. And she continues to keep going after it. But I also want more of her.
Oh yeah, I think she'll be in the next book.
I want more of you, and I really like how she did. This is my last little bit on Parisa. I really like how she did Parisa because it's like I feel like she's supposed to be a character that we don't like because she is the sexy girl who, of course, can get her way because she can read people's minds, and it's like, but don't get hung up on her outward appearance, like. She's got an agenda, and she's going to do whatever she needs to do to get it done, because she's not going to be messed around with. Like, it's not just this, like, I know I look good, it's fine.
Yeah.
Type of thing. In Nico and Libby, like, we talked about their relationship just, briefly in the spoiler-free, but, like, I loved the whole, like, they're always battling to be greater than each other. But I almost feel like Nico is better than Libby right now because Nico's emotions are not holding him up.
Yeah.
To access his power. It's the only reason why he is somewhat better than her. But even when they have that moment where he's like trying to expand, time and she does time. When he's trying to expand the space that they're in, right? Is that what it is that he was doing?
I can't remember.
Where he was pushing his powers. I don't remember what the scenario, like what he was actually doing, but she just walks in and she's like, oh, Nico, how am I always going to keep saving you? And it's like we get like a glimpse into like the Libby that we're supposed to be seeing, not this person that everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's so insecure. Or she's always, asking all these questions and always worried. And it's like, but when she actually focuses, I feel like she's like a force to be reckoned with because she can like center herself in the best way.
Yeah. And that's why she's a probably one of the best characters in the book, is because I think she has the most growth in the book. But she is the most powerful person in the room, and everybody hates her for their own reason. Seems like I feel like what's his name? Callum, once again, she's smarter than him and he just can't have that. She asks too many questions. She's too inquisitive. She's too much. Just be quiet and be cute in the corner. Like he can't have that. And then Parisa, they had a moment. I can't remember what Parisa says to her, but it was almost as if Parisa is like, I'm not damaged per se, but I am just not a good person, and you are a good person, and I don't want to get my stink, quote unquote, on you. Like she said something like, we can never be friends because of blah, 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 whatever. And it wasn't because of girl hate. It was just because, Parisa's insecure too. She may not necessarily like herself and what she has to do to get it done. And she doesn't want to damage Libby So I liked all of that. You know, Tristan liked her though. I think he was the only one who really genuinely liked her.
That. I love though how they got to that though, because he like got to see like this girl is more than what we're pegging her to be, and he's like trying to tell everybody like, listen, she freaking stopped time. She stopped time. Like,
yeah.
We need to watch out. Like, this is not a little thing, you know. But I liked that Tristan is always able to see through the illusion. If he would just, like, yet again, just don't think about what you actually see. Think about what's missing from the picture. And I thought that that was really cool. But yeah, I am eager to see how she's going to take this. I feel like I need to up my rating.
What was your final? What was it before we started?
It was a 4. I think it was at a 4.
Okay.
A 4. I might give it a 4.5. Just because now that I'm like putting all of my pieces together. Yeah. I really liked that battle scene though, where the other society comes in. I forget what they're called. The murderer. What are they called?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I forget what they're called. But the fact that they all had to pair off with someone that wasn't their person, or yeah, like that to me was like the huge, like, that's where the relationship started in a really good way. Like, that's why Nico is now like close with Reina, because like they worked well together, type of thing. And same thing with Tristan and with Libby. And then Parisa was like, Callum is just douche, we need to drop him. Like, I'm not working with him no more. Well, I'm good.
At least Parisa, I mean, if you had any notions about Parisa, at least she knows a really bad egg when she sees one. The fact that he can manipulate people to kill themselves, it's either self-preservation, where she's like, oh, he might be able to get me somehow, or it's like, he gotta go, because he can do bad things if he really, really wanted to.
Right. Did you have a person that you pegged that was going to be chosen to die before we knew?
I thought it was going to be Callum, just because of his power, which once again we didn't mention that he's also an empath, which is odd that he is an empath. But I felt like that was a red herring. But then it was like, okay, well, who is useful? Because it was like Nico and Libby have the same power, so one of them has got to go. Like,
but yet not though, because they alter different things.
I know, but I feel like you could teach them to, I don't know. And then Parisa has the same power as Atlas, so she's expendable too. But
at first, I thought it was going to be Tristan, because Tristan's power to me seemed the least complex.
No.
Because
I felt Tristan was the most important, because Atlas really, really wanted him badly. I was like, he ain't going nowhere.
Okay. No. To me, he was like, he's like the tag along when everyone's going on an adventure that you just got to like keep coming with you because he's holding the scroll. Like, that's how I felt. You know, but Callum, ultimately I decided that it had to be him just because of his narcissistic ways. I was like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
You ain't. Like, but it wasn't that the rest of them were all buddy-buddy. It was just simply that he wasn't adding anything to the equation for me. And then he drops this big bomb of like, I know all this information. La, 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 la.
But anybody can get that information, though.
Right, but it's all like the hidden information that the other societies were trying to trip them up on when they went out into the world. Like, hey, we need you. Hello. And I'm like, no one thought that that was a red flag. Like, if you all were being questioned outside, don't you think? Like, you're in a cult of some kind?
No.
I felt like, I was like...
One thing that I was kind of, like, confused about is, okay, so at the very end, we understand that Atlas is essentially building an army. And he's handpicking who he wants for why he wants them. I think he originally wanted Parisa because she was similar to him. But I think he realizes she's too dangerous. He can't have her because she's getting close to Dalton, and I think that's not good. So I think he probably want her gone because at the very beginning, I feel like Dalton was like, "They're gonna kill you." Dalton didn't say they're gonna kill one of you. He said they're gonna kill you. So I think that Atlas had already had his sights on Parisa going. But okay, so Reyna he probably wants because she's a necromancer, but I don't know if she can raise the dead people. I think that's kind of how it ended with we're not quite sure. But I can understand why he would want her. I could understand why he would want Libby and Nico, especially Nico, because now he can transform into falcons, apparently. And Dalton, I would think, not Dalton, Callum, I would think he would want Callum because he can make people do what he wants. You know, he can alter people's...
Yeah.
So why would he want Callum? Because at one point he was like, oh, they're going to kill Callum, whatever. But I feel like he would want Callum. I feel like Callum would be important because, once again, Callum is just a soldier. He's just going to do what the villain tells him to do. He don't care. He's not in it for the glory. He's just there because, you know, they want him to do it. So he's going to do it.
But maybe he already had someone else. Like, it was an expendable power. The other powers that everyone else has is
more
like...
important. Okay.
They're more important to world domination.
Okay.
Like, I feel like Callum would be a really good person to have in your council, right? To, like, when you go to a big emperor meeting or something, like, you'd want Callum to be like, it's all right. You want us. You good. You feel
Because
great.
he's charismatic. He's charismatic. And yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But I think because of his attitude, I think Atlas was like, meh.
Yeah, or maybe
he's
he
not
could...
he's not bendable enough.
Yeah.
He's too certain of who he is, I think. This is on the agenda, but
True.
anyway.
That makes sense.
So I think I'm going to change my rating to a 4.5 on this book. I definitely want to see what happens next. Because, again, it takes a lot for Dawn and I to like a book. Dawn has way more checklists than I do, and I feel like just even more over the years, like we've started to adapt to like, this wasn't done well or this was done well. So again, if you're thinking about reading Deadly Education, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's not worth your time. Spend your time on Olivie Blake. Like, spend your time here.
Yeah.
This is what you want it to be. We actually could talk about stuff and not be like, what was the world about? I don't know. And not have Ashley go, yeah, all this stuff, and Dawn goes, I didn't read it.
Yep.
So anyway, we hope you enjoyed your talk with us. Again, we are going to talk about the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires next. I'm excited.
Yes, me too.
This is Coven, whatever one that we read that was crap. What was the name of that one?
Was it the Crave book? Was that it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Crave, yeah, because the next one I think was Coven or Covet or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm looking at the cover. It was the fake Twilight book.
It's literally just Twilight regurgitated bird food. It's gross. Anyway. But thanks so much for joining us. We will catch you in the next podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.